Hey everyone, so today we're going to start a cool little project. We're going to make our own AI assistant that's going to help us handle our emails, our contacts, and our calendar. And the way this is going to work is we're going to do a 4-part video series. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually build an AI agent for each of the three. One for managing the contacts, one for managing the calendar, and one for managing the emails. And for the last part, we're actually going to build a master assistant that's going to delegate everything to the 3 sub-agents. And the master assistant will be the one we'd be interacting with, and the master assistant is going to be delegating. So first up, we're going to start off with the easiest one, which I believe is the contact assistant. So what we're going to do is, I've got N8N set up right here. We're going to go ahead and add a first step. And then we are going to set a trigger to be executed by another workflow. And then we're going to have it accept all data, which will be the message that it's going to receive from the master agent. We're going to go ahead and set up some mock data. And we're going to have we're going to set a small JSON object. It says message. And let's say for beginners, it's going to have something like get me Peter Parker's email. Alright, so this contact manager is going to be able to do 3 things. It's going to be able to either retrieve a contact, or insert or update a contact and their information. So for that, I'm actually using NocoDB, which is an alternative to Airtable. And for those who are not familiarized with Airtable, it's a spreadsheet. Think of it as Excel or a Google spreadsheet on steroids. All right, so there's like really smart spreadsheets, and the most famous one for that is Airtable, but I'm using this alternative called NocoDB. It's really good, especially for research and development, and it has some APIs for interacting with the tables. As you can see, I have a contacts table that I've created on this demo database, and I've had a couple of entries there, just first name, last name, and email. I'm gonna keep it simple. Of course, you can make it as complex as you want, depending on your business case. So for starters, we're only going to have it get me the email for Peter Parker. And now we're going to save it. Yeah. All right. So what we're going to do is this is the trigger for the agent, and this is the message that's going to receive what we wanted to do. We wanted to either get us a contact, or add a contact, or update a contact's information. So what we're going to do is we're obviously going to need some AI capabilities to be able to make a decision and to correctly choose which function to perform depending on the input that it receives. And for that, we're going to go ahead and add an AI agent. And for this, the only thing that we need to change here is define below. We're going to set it manually. I'm going to change it to expression so that it can accept variables. And we're going to go with message. There we go. And now we've placed the variable onto the input, so now we can ensure that the AI agent is going to be able to receive the message, and so they can then make a decision about what to do next. So as you can see here at the bottom, there are 3 options we have to augment our agent. The chat model, we need to add it an LLM, so that such as OpenAI's ChatGPT or Mistral or Claude, depending on whichever you have an account or an API key with. And this is the one that's actually this is the actual AI agent that's going to make a decision, and it's going to choose our tools. And you can see, you can set the tools right here. at the bottom, and in this case we're going to be adding 3 tools, one for retrieving a contact information, one for inserting contact, and another one for updating a contact. And we also have the ability to give it some memory, which in this case we're not going to need it, because for this particular case, every message, every command it receives, it's going to be directly corresponding to one action, one message, one action. You tell it to get the contact, it gets the contact. There's no real need for for the AI agent to keep memory of the conversation if each action is only gonna get one result and neither result is depending on the previous action, right? So in this case we're not gonna need a memory. What we will need is to set up what's called a system message for the AI agent, and this is what we add to give the AI some context of what we needed to do. And this is something that's very important for every AI agent, that you give it a role, try to give it some background. By default it has this message: you are a helpful assistant, but we're going to need to be something a little bit more specific. In this case I've already prepared the system message that we're going to add for the AI agent. And overview, it says you're a contact management assistant. Your responsibilities include looking up contacts, adding new contacts, or updating a contact's information. And then I have the functionality listed below. Contact management, use the tool NocoDB contact search to retrieve contact information. Use the tool NocoDB contact add to store a new contact. When adding a contact, you should receive a full name and an email address, not necessarily in that order. You would also need to separate the full name into a first name and the last name, as they are stored separately. And finally, you're going to use the tool NocoDB contact update to update a contact's information. To update a contact, you will have to first call NocoDB contact search to retrieve the contact's ID number to successfully update the contact. So we're going to go ahead and copy this. We're going to put this as the system message to give the AI agent some context, some background. And of course these are the 3 functions that we're going to add, but first we're going to add the chat model. In my case, I already have an API key for Mistral. It's already set up, so now I have to choose a model. Generally you don't want to choose one of the models that are too small or too light, as they may not have the capacity to handle tasks that are too complex. The smaller models tend to be the fastest, but they are also not very good at handling tasks that are too complex. But then again, you also don't want to go for the latest and greatest and the biggest model, because although they could handle more complex tasks, they tend to be more resource heavy, and they also tend to cost more tokens, so it also translates into cost. So for this particular case, I've actually found that the good balance is right down the middle, using the Mistral medium model. And depending on, this is in the case of Mistral, but this is something that takes some practice and some tweaking around, depending on which LLM model you're using and which company, whether you're using OpenAI, whether you're using Anthropic's Claude, and then which sub model. You need to play around with the settings. In this case, I've seen that Mistral medium gets the job done. So we're gonna go ahead and select this as the model, and then we're going to give it the tools. We're going to give it 3, one for searching, one for updating, and one for adding. So we're going to start with search. We're going to search. Fortunately, NocoDB is already supported using N8N, so we're just going to go ahead and go for NocoDB tool. Alright, and I already have a token account with it. You may have to refer to NocoDB's documentation to set up an API. And again, it doesn't have to be NocoDB. If you have a contact database set up with Airtable or Google Spreadsheets, you can do that as well. Right, tool description, I like to set these manually, and this is something similar to the system message for the AI agents, just to give it a little bit extra context. And, in this case, more context in particular to this function, and this is to get a context information. And alright, we also have to give it the name, which is going to correspond to the system message we gave the AI agent, which is going to be NocoDB contact search. Alright, and for this example's sake, we don't have too many records, so we're just gonna start to make it easy and just retrieve all. I'm gonna select the workspace, select the base, which is demo, contacts table. You're just gonna have it return all to keep it simple for this example's sake. If you don't have, unless you have hundreds or thousands of contacts, return all makes it easier. And we're gonna leave it at that. That's for searching. And then we're gonna add another one for adding. And same deal, we're gonna set manually, add a contact to DB. Or just add a contact. Resource row, operation, create, workspace, base, demo, table, contacts. And for this particular case, it works best if we define the parameters. So sometimes the AI, you don't necessarily have to be that specific. Sometimes it can guess the parameters of the API that it's calling, but for this case, it's always better to, when you're making an API call, it's better to specify the arguments that it needs. All right. So for this case, for adding, we need 3 values: first name, last name, and the actual email address. Start with email, the actual label for the value, and then the actual value that we're sending. We're going to use an expression so that it can accept a variable, and we're going to write from AI. In this way, N8N knows that it needs to use the AI to extract the value. So then from AI, email. Add another field for first name, and it's important that the actual field names match what's for the docs, for the APIs. And by the way, the URLs may vary depending on your account. So the URLs you are seeing for these API endpoints here, it's not may not necessarily be the same for you. So just make sure that you check your account, and whether it's for NocoDB, Airtable, etc. So in this case, we know that it needs to match email, first name, and last name. So we're gonna go with email, first name, same deal. We're gonna go here, field value, expression, and we're just gonna change to first name, and the AI will know to look for a first name and last name. Again, make the substitution. There we go, and this should be ready. And we'll get to test that in just a bit. Now we just need to add one more. I'm just gonna add duplicate. Alright, and we need to rename this. We're gonna call it NocoDB contact add. As you saw, you can actually give these a name as if you're speaking a natural language, but it's generally considered a good practice to name them as if you were naming a function when writing code, only so it's easier for the AI to identify. Alright, so we're gonna have NocoDB contact search, NocoDB contact add, NocoDB contact update, NocoDB contact update. We're gonna go ahead, set manually update a contact, row resource. All of the data is the same, except we're gonna add a field for ID, because it needs to know the ID of the record that it's gonna update, and how it's going to get this ID number for any contact that we're trying to update. Well, remember the instructions that we gave the AI agent, and we told it that before you use this tool to update, to first retrieve the contact by using the search tool, and that search tool is going to retrieve the ID number, and that's where it's going to pull the corresponding ID from. So here we go, and we've added the ID. So, should be good to go. We need to just make the connection here. Alright, oh, and finally, we're just going to add another node here for output. Let's just say add field set JSON. I'm just going to say nothing add field. I think it's just output. And if I'm not mistaken, the variable name is just JSON.output. And there we go. And it should be working now, and we're about to give it a test. So we're going to trigger a test, and this is going to be the text message that the test message that's going to use. And for this, the AI, I'm going to tell it, get me Peter Parker's email, and the AI agent should correctly decide to use the search tool and then retrieve the results from that and get me Peter Parker's email. So it's going to go ahead and give it a test run. There goes, it's calling the AI agent, and it should be going to the model, and it's using the search tool, went back, and workflow executed successfully. Now let's look at the results. Here it goes. Peter Parker's email is peter@spiderman.com. If we check with our contacts table, Peter Parker, peter@spiderman.com. We'll try it one more time, except this time I'm going to tell it, get me Bruce Wayne's email. I'm going to give it a test run. And again, and the result was Bruce Wayne's email is bruce@batman.com. Is there anything else I can help you with? The output message can be customized, but it did return the correct result. And now we're going to try actually adding or updating a contact. Let's go ahead and try adding a contact. Let's say add Tony Stark to my contacts. His email is tony@starkindustries.com. Save. And let's give it a run. There you go, and it's using it, called the tool, went back, and here we should be getting a result. Tony Stark has been added to your contacts. Is there anything else I can help you with? Let's go ahead and double check and give it a refresh. There you go, Tony Stark, Tony at starkindustries.com. And finally, we're going to go ahead and test an update. And we're going to go ahead and say update Tony Stark's email to Tony at ironman.com. And let's give it a run. And there it goes. It retrieved the information, went to update. Oh, received tool did not match expected schema. Alright, what went wrong? True primary database error. This record already exists. Oh, that's right. I needed to make the change here since it's update. It's not creating, it is updating. Update a row. There we go. Alright, that should fix it. Alright, there we go. Alright, let's give it one more run. And there it is. Result: contact information for Tony Stark has been updated. His email is now tony@ironman.com. Let's go and hit refresh. Check it out, Tony at starkindustries.com. Hit refresh. Nope, there it is, Tony at ironman.com. And that's how you set a contact manager. You could also give it the functionality to delete a contact, but of course, you know, for obvious reasons, use at your own peril. But now you can see that it is possible to have AI manage your contacts. So I'll see you guys on the next one.